Hello everyone, I am Sneha Kushwaha, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Rama University, Kanpur. In my previous video, I discussed about the structure-activity relationship. Today also we are going to discuss about the same topic. So let's have a short revision. Structure-activity relationship, what it is. Structure-activity relationship is generally a relationship between the structure of a chemical compound and its biological activity, and we can make certain analogs by making small changes to the compound of the parent, and then we assess the effect that those changes may have on the biological activity. Now, I also discussed about the certain changes we can make in the parent compound to make certain analogs with a improved or enhanced biological activity. So there were general three ways. First one was to change the shape and size of the carbon skeleton, and then analyzing the changes or improvement in the biological activity of the analogs as compared to the lead compound. Now, the second one was the nature and the degree of substitution, and the third one was the stereochemistry of the lead. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the nature and degree of the substitution as well as the stereochemistry of the lead. Now, if we introduce the substituents in the structure of a parent compound, there may be a significant changes in the chemical and the pharmacokinetic properties of the compound. Now, there may be possibility that there may be certain changes in the lipophilicity of the molecule. That is, there may be enhanced or improvement in the transport of the compound through the biological membrane and various fluids present in the body. Now, due to the incorporation of various substituents in the parent compound, there will be also a change in shape, which could result in the conformational restrictions, which will affect the binding of the particular analog to the target site. Now, the introduction of the substituents may also introduce a new metabolic pathway for the analog, and this may change its pharmacodynamic properties. Now, there are various changes that can be done by the incorporation of a substituents. There may be an increased or decreased potency in the analog. There may be a duration, or there may be change in the duration of the action, or there may be a metabolic stability, or there may be some unwanted side effects too. Now, what type of substituents we are incorporating in our parent compound purely depends on what type of changes we want in our analogs. So it depends on the person. Okay. Now, the substituents which are present in the particular compound will impart its own characteristic properties to the analog. So we know various changes which can be done in the biological activity by incorporating a certain substituents. Then also there are certain exceptions. So there may be changes which may be there which are not according to such predictions. Now there are various types of substitutions which we can do to make certain changes in the properties of a compound. So these are the groups we can incorporate which may enhance the biological activity of a compound. So we can use methyl group, halogen group, hydroxyl group, basic groups, carboxylic and sulfonic acid group, thios, sulfides and other sulfur groups. And last, we can change the existing substituents of a lead with another substituent of the similar structure. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the methyl group, halogen groups and the hydroxyl group. So let's start with the methyl group. So what is the methyl group? It is a group with 3 hydrogen atoms. It is just a methane with a hydrogen atom removed from it. So this is the structure of the methyl group. Now, if we introduce a methyl group in a structure, there will be an increase in the lipophilicity of the compound and a reduction in its water solubility. And when there be an increase in the lipophilicity of the molecule, there will be an increase in the partition coefficient of the compound. And when there will be an increase in the partition coefficient, there will be an improved absorption of the analog through the biological membrane. Okay, so apart from this, there may be improvement in the binding of a ligand to the receptor because it will be helpful in filling a pocket on the target site. So we can say that greater the value of partition coefficient, the more lipid soluble will be the compound. So partition coefficient is a very important property if we want to increase the lipophilicy of a compound. Now there are certain examples which we can discuss. First is of benzene. This is the structure of benzene and the partition coefficient of benzene is 135. Now if we incorporate a methyl group in this, the structure is known as toluene and the partition coefficient is 490. So we can see here that by incorporation of this methyl group in the benzene ring, benzene is converted to toluene and the partition coefficient is enhanced from 135 to 490. So there is an increase in the partition coefficient, as well as we can say there is an increment in the lipophilicity of the molecule. Now the second example is of acetamide. So this is the structure of acetamide. It is CH3CONH2 and has a partition coefficient of 83. Now if we incorporate an extra methyl group, that is CH3 here, the compound is known as proguanimide. And if we see the partition coefficient, again there is a rise in the partition coefficient from 83 to 360. So again there is a enhanced lipophilic character of the compound. And the last example is of urea. And if we see the partition coefficient of urea, it is 15. And if we see the analog N-methyl urea, so partition coefficient is 44, and hence again there is an increment in the lipophilic character of the molecule. So this is the example where, which tells us what is the use of the incorporation of methyl group in the parent compound. Now the thing to note is that benzene and toluene are used by the are measured by using an octanol water system, while acetamide and urea are measured by using olive oil and water system. So next is, if we incorporate a methyl group, then there will be a possibility of steric restrictions in the analog. So orthomethyl analogs exhibits no antihistaminic activity. So how this happens, we will discuss this with the help of an example. So I have an example of diphenhydramine. Now this diphenhydramine is antihistaminic, has a antihistaminic property. This is the structure of diphenhydramine. Now we are having two analogs. This is the orthomethyl analog and this is a paramethyl analog. So if we see the orthomethyl analog, it is an inactive analog of diphenhydramine. What is the reason for the inactivity? If we substitute this methyl at the ortho position, there is a steric hindrance between this hydrogen atom and the lone pairs. So there is a restricted rotation of this carbon-oxygen bond, due to which it is not able to have the necessary conformation for the antihistaminic activity. So this particular analog, that is the orthomethyl analog, is not active. It does not exhibit any antihistaminic property. Now if we see the paramethyl analog, there is no steric hindrance because there is a quite a difference, distance between the methyl group and the lone pair. So there is no steric hindrance, and it is very surprisingly that this paramethyl analog is 3.7 times more active than the diphenhydramine. So there is a effect of the substituent also, as well as the position of the substituent on the parent compound. Now, if a methyl group is incorporated in a parent compound, there are three effects that can happen and affect the rate of metabolism of the particular analog. So there may be a increased rate of metabolism due to the oxidation of the methyl group. Second one is, there may be increase in the rate of metabolism due to demethylation, and this demethylation will be due to the transfer of the methyl group to another compound. And third one, there may be a reduction in the rate of metabolism by the changes being done in the analog. So we will be discussing these three points in detail. So let's come to the oxidation of the methyl group. So when a methyl group is bonded to an aromatic ring, it can be converted to carboxylic acid and it can be easily excreted. So this we can understand with the help of an example. Here I have taken an example of toluidamide, which is anti-diabetic in nature. So this is the structure of toluidamide. Then on oxidation, this methyl group is converted to carboxylic acid, and this is a less toxic metabolite and easy to excrete out. Now, if we incorporate a very reactive carbon C single bond CH3 group, then it offers a detoxification route for the lead compounds, and that are also very toxic to our body. Now the second one is demethylation. So demethylation occurs when the methyl group is attached to the positively charged nitrogen and sulfur atoms. A number of methyl transfers have been associated with the carcinogenic action. And the third one is the reduction in the rate of metabolism. So methyl group can also reduce the rate of metabolism of the compound, and this is done by masking of the active group. So this can be understood by this the example of Nabam, which is an agriculture fungicide. So this is the structure, and it is converted to its active analog, that is 1,2-diisothiocyanoethane. Now, if we mask this Nabam with methyl groups, so here we are attaching the methyl groups to the nitrogen atom. So due to this methylation, or we can say due to this masking, the compounds becomes inactive and is not converted to the active analog, and hence it lowers the rate of metabolism as compared to the lead compound. Now the next is methylation will also reduce the unwanted side effects of a drug. So here is the condition of mono and diorthomethylation. So if we take the example of paracetamol, this is the structure of paracetamol. The hydroxyl group is attached to the para position. So if we consider the mono and diorthomethylation in this phenolic hydroxy group of paracetamol, we can see there will be a reduced hepatotoxic activity. So here the methyl groups are attached on the ortho position if mono and di substitute. Both the compounds have reduced hepatotoxicity. This reduction is only due to the methyl groups which are being attached to this ortho position, and it prevents the metabolic hydroxylation of the ortho positions. Hence, this analog has reduced hepatotoxicity than the parent compound. Now, the larger alkyl groups have similar effects. As the group size increases, the lipophilicity will reach a point where it reduces the water solubility to an impractical level. So there is no use of introducing a very larger groups. So generally the substitutions are restricted to only methyl and ethyl groups, and we can have a very good results by these substitutions. Now the second one is halogen groups. Now we all know what are halogens. So fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. These are the most popular halogens which we come across in chemistry. So when we introduce halogen groups, there is an increment in the lipophilic character as the methyl group, and there is a reduction in the water solubility. Now, due to the increased lipophilicity, there will be enhanced penetration of the compound in the lipid membranes. And one more property will be incorporated, that is the undesirable tendency for the halogenated drugs to accumulate in the lipid tissue. Now the chemical reactivity of these halogen groups depends on the point of attachment to the lead as well as the nature of the halogen. Now if we compare the aromatic halogen groups and the aliphatic halogen groups, so we can say aromatic halogen groups are less reactive than the aliphatic ones. Now the strongest and the least reactive of the aliphatic carbon halogen bond is CF bond. So CF bond is the strongest bond, and hence it is less reactive. It is also less reactive than the aliphatic CH bond. But as we go down the series in the periodic table, so this is the sequence which has been seen in the periodic table. At the topmost position in the above rows, there is a fluorine, then chlorine, then bromine, and then iodine. So if we see, fluorine is less reactive and it is the most stable. As we go down the group, the reactivity increases. So we can say fluorine is most stable as well as iodine is less stable. Now, the most popular halogen substitutions which we come across are aromatic fluorine and chlorine groups. And if there is a presence of any electron withdrawing group, then the reactivity will increase. Then trifluorocarbon groups, that is CF3. These are sometimes used to replace the chlorines of similar size. Now there will be changes in potency by the introduction of halogen, and this depends on the position of the substitution. So this change in potency can be understood by the example of clonidine. Clonidine is antihypertensive in nature. So this is the structure of clonidine. It has two chlorine atoms at the ortho position. So this ortho-chloro substitution is more potent than this para-meta dichloro analog. So this ortho positioned chlorines, and that is the structure of clonidine, is more potent than this analog. So the bulky orthochlorine groups impose a conformational restriction on the structure of clonidine, which accounts for the enhanced activity. So we can say that for clonidine and its analogs, ortho-positioned analogs are more potent than the other para or meta positioned analogs. Now the third one is the hydroxyl group. Hydroxyl means OH group. So if we introduce the hydroxyl groups in the parent compound, there will be increased hydrophilic nature as well as low lipid solubility. So this is just converse of the cases which we discussed in the methyl and the halogen groups substitution. Now introduction of these hydroxyl groups in the parent compound generates a new center for the hydrogen bonding, and this will influence the binding of the analog to its target site. Now let's see an example of minaprene. This is the structure of minaprene, and this is its analog, which is have ortho hydroxylation. Now this ortho hydroxylated minaprene analog binds more effectively to the M1 muscarinic receptors than its non-hydroxylated analogs. So hydroxylation causes the effective binding of the analog to the target site. Now, the introduction of a hydroxyl group introduces a center, as in case of phenols, that could act as a bactericide, while alcohols have narcotic properties. So we can say that by the introduction of the hydroxyl group into the parent compound may incorporate extra character. Now, the presence of hydroxyl group opens a new metabolic pathway that can either act as a detoxification route and prevent the drug reaching its target. So that's all for today. Thank you.